Miami Hurricanes are going to need to bounce back in a big way this Saturday against a bad Syracuse football team. But the Canes are going to have to do so without some key starters.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And with the Hurricane situation being what it is now, with 2 losses, 2 conference losses, just winning just isn't enough. You're going to have to earn style points. If you're capable of doing that, you're going to have to earn style points over each of these final 4 regular season games. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On this loaded episode, Miami Hoops. At least we have that. Jay Lucas gets his first victory as head coach of the Miami basketball team. We'll talk about all these football penalties, which, and folks, not making excuses. Most of these penalties are self-inflicted. But for the ones that aren't, what is the ACC doing about it? We will discuss. And we'll discuss key injuries. We'll discuss coaching. We'll discuss the next 4 games and so much more. Because we have here on his proper day, he's back. Yesterday was the bonus, but a Truth Teller Tuesday, we got Bruce Warner with us. So, Bruce, Mario Cristobal reveals at his news conference yesterday, running back Mark Fletcher likely won't be available this weekend. He got banged up late in that loss last week to SMU. Cornerback O.J. FREDERIC will be out for a couple of weeks. He was out last week. Same thing for C.J. Daniels at wide receiver. He missed the SMU game. Cristobal says he's out for a couple of weeks. And defensive tackle Ahmad Moten, really important player who got banged up. He said he's one of those 50-50s. So this weekend against Syracuse is going to be a next man up mentality at certain positions.
Yeah, first, I want to talk about yesterday for a second. We did a show. Not everybody knew I was going to be on yesterday.
It was a bonus.
It was a bonus. For who? For you?
It was a bonus for the world to get an extra day of the Truth Teller. The world needed that yesterday.
Well, you say that, and it looks like it's true because we got about 400 comments or 500 comments, and a lot of them were about what I said, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. Now that this is like year 3 for me doing this, and I say what's on my mind, and I don't sugarcoat it. No. And there's no reason to sugarcoat it. I love Miami. I love Mario. But you know what? There's things that are going wrong with this team, and you have to say it. And I've been saying it. I said it all year long. I'm worried about this. My quote yesterday was they're consistently inconsistent. And it's true. Now, here's my thought on Saturday's game. We should beat the hell out of Syracuse. But
I'm saying,
do we beat them the same way we've been playing and we're just better than them because they're so bad? Or do we make some changes, make some adjustments, come out of the game early and score early instead of struggling like we've been doing? We struggled against Stanford. We struggled against Louisville in the first half. We've been struggling. The last good first half of football was Florida State a month ago. I want to see us play better. I want to see if they listen to what people, the fans, whatever, are screaming about and don't just poo-poo it in these press conferences. I also want to say that I do not believe that Dawson is controlled by Mario Cristobal in the play calling or anything else. I have not seen Mario talk to him before plays were called. I don't see them looking at charts together. I don't see it at all. My opinion is that he's not telling him to tone it down. This is just who he is, and this is what Dawson's calling. And
that's my understanding as well, by the way, that he has a lot of autonomy on the offense. I know people just assume that, hey, this is really Mario and he oversteps everything. And it's like, and again, like, we are not immune to criticizing Mario. We criticize Mario plenty and we will continue to do so. We're just trying to set the record straight on what's true and what isn't.
Yeah, but I saw Beck get angry a few times, and I think he's angry at the play calls, and I don't blame him. he threw the pick. I don't blame. I mean, that to me, they should have had different personnel in there. You should put in Moore. You should put in Luka Gilbert. Big dudes. Throw the ball high. Let him catch it. You don't throw a down the middle pass to a 5'3" guy. I'm not that he's 5'3", but Malachi Tony is great. But he doesn't have the body to ward off, to shield a defender, and he didn't.
Well, the thing is, I think Beck would have maybe liked to throw the football to JoJo Trader in the end zone had he not been tackled in the end zone on that play, which is something we will get to. There's also
I saw that play. He got tackled, and he got up and he went, because they don't care. And that kind of leads to the other stuff about the ACC refs. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the ACC says. They are absolutely blatantly biased against this football team. And I don't understand why. We did not sue to get out of the league like Clemson and Florida State. We've been sticking with them. We haven't won anything. So why are we the bad guys? I don't understand it. Why? But it is obvious they hate this football team.
Well, and it's whatever correspondence Mario Cristobal, Dan Radakovich, the AD, even Joe Echeverria, the university president, who should have an important voice in the ear of ACC officials, like when you're reviewing some of this nonsense, like remind them, hey, like we didn't sue you guys, like we were not a disruptive partner the way that Florida State and Clemson have been. Like we have stood by you guys, and yet we continue to get screwed over. And again, like I'm not blaming the way this team is playing strictly on officiating. Believe me, like that's one of the many problems. The margin should not be this thin where calls are taking potential wins away from you. But both of these things are true. Miami's not playing well enough, and they're also not getting treated fairly.
Yeah, and as far as the ACC is concerned, look. They're never going to say anything about this if they even come back to our guys after they show videos and things like that. But it has nothing. It really should have nothing to do with suing the ACC to get out. They should just be fair. Period.
It should
be fair. Period. Don't be biased. Don't make me. I mean, I watched that Malachi Tony punt return from a week ago where he went like this. He did not go like this.
Yeah,
I
mean, you have to move. You have to move your. He moved his right hand, but you have to move your hands to catch the football.
Right. I mean, he did do something to the side, but he didn't go up. He didn't wave it like most people do. It's just so, and they just want to just call anything against us. And of course, Ruben Bain. I mean, he has to practically be assaulted to get a penalty. Last week they had him around the throat, and he finally threw the damn flag.
They finally
but I have a hard time believing with our pass rush, with those guys up front, there's hardly any holding. How can that be? How can that be? We're not like some stupid defensive line. We don't make any penetration. We're constantly in the backfield, yet the flags never fly.
Yeah, and so
Cristobal, it's hard to watch now. It is hard to watch. You know what else I heard? I heard that somebody went to the game, and they were reporting that the Miami fans at SMU were bored during the game. And you know what? I can see that. I'm bored kind of watching it on television.
Well, you know what? When you possess the football for 37 minutes and 40 seconds and you only score 20 points, that's kind of boring.
It is boring.
I agree.
Why don't they do a no huddle? What's the downside?
Well, and that's one of those things, Bruce. They need to do that this week because, again, like when you're talking about people need to understand, if you watch other games, like Syracuse right now is one of the worst teams in Power 4 football. Like they are worse than the Stanford team Miami beat at home a couple of weeks ago. Like Syracuse right now, they have been absolutely decimated by a combination of injuries and just whatever Murphy's Law that has come with it. And they started a true freshman walk-on quarterback who's on a lacrosse scholarship last week, couldn't throw the football forward. So, this is one of those games. And, Bruce, I've talked the last couple of days about the offensive approach and the play calling being like you're calling games as if you're playing Notre Dame every week where you want to shorten the game and limit possessions. Mm-hmm. When you're up against a team that you are far more talented than, and again, Syracuse is they were okay to start the season when they had Steve Angeli at quarterback. They've lost 5 straight games. They played miserable. They just lost to North Carolina. They've been playing miserable football, Syracuse. So this is a game where you need to call a game as if you're calling a game against an inferior opposition, and you're okay blowing them out and running more plays and not shortening the game. Like, this is not week 1 against Notre Dame. You need to call this game in a way that is conducive to blowing them out.
And I like the fact that what I'm saying, gives us tempo. We have no tempo.
Yeah.
Out of the huddle, they stand there. It's like, okay, they're going to run up the middle this time. Tempo, speed it up. Let the other teams adjust to us. We're constantly adjusting. Oh, what are we doing? What do they have? No, speed it up. They can't substitute. Let them deal with our talent level without substituting, let them call timeouts.
Exactly. Tempo.
Change the damn tempo. We have no tempo. We have no rhythm. None. We had rhythm in the first half and the first 3 quarters against Florida State. After that, we've had no rhythm. None.
When we come back,
still,
yeah.
We got to do better than this.
We have to do better than this, and here's how we're going to do better than this, or should do better than this against Syracuse, and with certain players likely to miss the game with injury, who steps up and how that could change the game plan. You want to keep it locked right here. It's a Truth Teller Tuesday on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, the only ticket app that I use is Game Time because I'm getting the best deals, the best prices, and the best features. I love college football, the tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself, with endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to us, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Folks, the prices go down the closer you get to kickoff. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. And we have a deal for you. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Here's the deal. When you download the Game Time app and create your account, make sure you use our promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and they're going to give you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go! Download Game Time today. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. For your next listen, check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I take you around the conference. KG's North Carolina State Wolfpack just pulled off a huge victory against Georgia Tech. Virginia, even though Virginia also lost to NC State, that was a non-conference game officially. Virginia is now the only undefeated team in the ACC. I guess, Bruce, I know the percentages are very much against Miami, but it's not impossible to get to the ACC championship game. We're not mathematically out of it yet, and obviously we're not mathematically out of the playoffs. And again, that's why they need to approach these next 4 games with their foot on the gas, because they're not technically eliminated from anything yet. So with Mark Fletcher,
yesterday if you were smoking something before, and I guess I'm going to ask you again. You can't be serious. They're not going anywhere. Come on, Alex, be serious. They're not going to do it.
It's not over till it's over. It's not over till it's over. Like I'm saying, like, I agree with you. It's unlikely that any of that's going to happen. But I can't. The fat lady has not sung yet, Bruce. It's not over.
Which fat lady you're talking about? You know what? Let's win this game convincingly, and then we got NC State at home, which is not going to be easy.
It could be. CJ Bailey is playing out of his mind.
Good.
Out of his mind.
Good. Yeah, and then we have Virginia Tech on the road, which is not a tough. I mean, it used to be a tough place. I don't know how good they are, but it might be cold. And then
that's more about us. Like, again, the Virginia Tech game is a lot more about which Miami shows up, because we are capable, as we've seen, of self-destruction, and we're capable of losing to anybody. That's about Miami. Now, the Pittsburgh game is about both, because Pitt has been on a good run this season. Yep. Like, so that's a formidable opponent on the road. It's going to be cold there end of the year. So, like, this week against Syracuse, it's all about Miami. We're going to beat them. It's just a matter of whether it's a blowout or not.
Right. I think if we beat NC State, we could beat Pitt. If we lose to NC State, I'm not going to keep my hopes up for that. Because the cold shouldn't bother us if we play physical, if we play smart. But this game coming up may show us, all of the Canes fans, did they make any adjustments at all? Yeah. Or they bury their heads in the sand and say, the hell with the outsiders, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And I think this game will show us that. Yeah. And then if we do that, maybe we'll beat NC State at home, which we could do. They're not that good. They're okay. But, it's always been about Miami. And right now we're fighting the other team and the referees, which is not easy.
Yeah.
And we can't have these self-inflicted wounds, but we have, and it has not been corrected. That's frightening. But whose fault is that? The refs? No. The players, coaches? Yes.
Yes.
Fix this already. Damn
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
For weeks we've been talking about the offensive line and the false starts. Has not been corrected.
Well, here's what. So Shannon Dawson was asked about, all the penalties, false starts, holdings, a lot of miscues, and he says, first he said, we simulate these situations a ton. We have very accountable players and very accountable coaches. Nobody is shying away from accountability. I know I've got to do my job better, he said. I know if I do my job better, we win these games. He said, quote, in terms of like how they're addressing the penalties, I guess I can respect that he's not giving us like the exact diagram of what they're doing, because that, giving away the exact method is not, not for him to say publicly. He says, we are addressing it with multiple issues, he said. He said he's not going to lay those out, but quote, there will be changes that are made, and I think they will reflect some positives. We have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. But at this point, we all need to have
this. Here's a very sore subject with a lot of people, but it's come up in a lot of the comments that I got from yesterday, and you probably saw some of them. What about our offensive line coach? Where's his responsibility? He gets a pass on everything, Mirabal, because he's Mario's buddy, and he is a great coach, but I don't think it's Dawson's job to correct all this nonsense.
I think it's both of their jobs. I think it is both Dawson's job, and he kind of indicated that they're going to try to do some things schematically to mitigate this stuff. I'll believe it when I see it again, because this team has been committing penalties week after week after week after week.
Means what? What about counting to 1 or to 2 and then you can go? What's so tough about that?
That might be what they're doing.
These guys
but yes,
all know the snap count.
But there's absolutely there is responsibility on Mirabal and responsibility on Dawson. Like, both of those things can be true. Like, the offensive staff members are working together. That unit, the offensive line, is both of their responsibility. It is the direct responsibility of the O-line coach, Alex Mirabal, and also the responsibility of the offensive coordinator. So the answer to that question is yes, it's on both of them.
Yeah, and also the opposing defense has been calling out snap counts and things, which is illegal,
Right.
but that hasn't been called, at least as far as I know. And that's another.
It got called once against Florida. I think it was
once.
against Florida. They got called once for that. And since USF, teams have been calling out our snap counts.
Yeah, and
simulating.
Know what? That's not legal, supposedly. So why don't they do something about it?
Yeah.
Why is the AC? I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it's very scary that in a critical part of any game, they could just make a stupid call and we're screwed.
Well, let me make a point on that. So this was something, and Cristobal is being very graceful the way he talks about it. Because number one, I don't think he wants to get fined. But number two, I think Cristobal understands that if he harps too much publicly about officiating, people are just going to accuse him of making excuses for losing the game, which is not what he's trying to do. He's not saying we lost because of the refs. But he did mention, Miami, they just did it, and they've done it several times before. There are official channels to complain to the ACC about things. So they send in plays to the ACC for review. And Bruce, as of the time we're having this conversation here on Tuesday morning, Miami has not received a response on that. They've received no clarity. And just to give you a few examples of some of these plays.
But Mario was pissed the other day when Lightfoot hit the quarterback. He said he didn't hear the whistle. He said it.
Right.
He didn't hear the whistle.
He didn't hear the whistle.
I didn't hear the whistle.
Lightfoot tried to hold the quarterback up. Like, when he realized in that second that, oh my gosh, the play is dead. Like, he tried to pull up and hold the quarterback up.
Let it go.
Yeah, and also, like, I'm not going to pretend that this is just a Miami thing. ACC officials make terrible calls in every game. Georgia Tech should have lost to Wake Forest earlier this year, but they were gifted the game on a terrible call. Clemson had a crappy call go against them for a non-existent pass interference that allowed Duke an opportunity to drive and win that football game. So, and even like SMU fans are showing a picture of their guy's face mask getting held. Okay, it probably should have been called too. So this goes a number of different ways. But in Miami's case, the most egregious calls or non-calls in the game, we talked about this, missing an obvious pass interference against JoJo Trader in the end zone on Miami's final offensive play. That was the play when Carson Beck threw the interception. The Kevin Jennings fumble, forced and recovered by Miami, ruled not a fumble. I thought that was a bad call. And if you don't think it's a bad call, fine. The ACC still needs to give Miami clarity and an explanation on it, which they haven't done yet. Keelan Marion, clearly interfered with on a play that was not called, but they did on that same play call a bad holding call on Miami instead on that same play. You mentioned the unsportsmanlike conduct or roughing the passer against Marquise Lightfoot when he clearly didn't hear the late whistle, tried to pull
How
up.
about when Malachi was tackled? Was that the Louisville game? Somebody tackled him, and they had an interception on it. You could see he's laying on the ground. Somebody hit him before the ball even got close to Malachi. Yeah. And he's laying on the ground, and the guy picks it up. No call. Are you serious?
Right. And here's my big complaint with the ACC is, so you send in all of these questionable calls for review, and you hear nothing. They probably threw Miami's messenger right in the garbage, right? Delete. And yet, so Dabo Swinney, and maybe Mario needs to do this and be more vocal about it. When Dabo Swinney, I watched his news conference after their loss to Duke, and he talked about the pass interference call that went against him. He says, one of the worst calls I've ever seen. That was his quote. One of the worst calls. Like, he didn't say, oh, these guys are corrupt and they took a bet. He said one of the worst calls I've ever seen. And the ACC took them about 3 hours to review that and fine Dabo $10,000. So the accountability doesn't go both ways. Like, they are more than happy to fine a coach when they speak out against a bad call or a questionable call, but when their own referees, and not just in Miami games, are making bad calls, game-deciding calls week after week. There were multiple of those in ACC games on Saturday. You don't get any accountability or clarity on it.
So do you know who the 3 guys are that work for the ACC that make these decisions?
Well, I know Al Riveron is the head of officiating.
Yeah, but he's not on the committee. It's Mo, Larry, and Curly, and they're all dead. That's who's making an ACC decision.
I'm sorry I stepped on your joke. I didn't know where you were going with that.
They're all dead, but you know what? That's who's making the decisions.
I gave you Al Riveron when you were going for Larry, Curly, and Mo, and sometimes Shemp.
You know what?
Oh, man.
It seems like it, doesn't it? It seems
like
it.
It does.
Right.
Oh, man.
Let's move on.
All right, so
At least I had some sort of a laugh today because I haven't been laughing since.
Yeah, Saturday. No, I haven't smiled since before the Louisville game. I'll be honest here. All right, so with Mark Fletcher probably out this week, and we'll find out more when the ACC injury report comes out. You'd imagine Marty Brown is going to start the game, get more touches, but I would also imagine this is going to mean a lot more touches than recently for Jordan LYLE, which, Bruce, I think that could be a really good thing. First of all, Syracuse's rushing defense has not been good, so I think this is an opportunity to get outside, to break some big runs, to get into the secondary, and maybe this is the Jordan LYLE game could be coming up, Bruce.
Right, but if you're Fran Brown, aren't you doing what these last bunch of teams since Florida State put 6 in the box, 5, 6 in the box, and make them do something, especially now with Beck throwing these picks. Yeah, you want them to throw the ball. I think they're going to stack the box. Yeah. I'd like to see us get outside. You know who else is good in the catching them? Marty Brown's good.
Yes, he is. Remember the Florida game? Like he took over the Florida game with catches. Get him the ball in the flat.
Get him in the ball. Get Lyle the ball in the flat and let him take off. That's what I want to see us happen. And I still want to see Luka Gilbert in the game, not just for 1 or 2 plays or just a block. I want to see him in there because to me. And as much as we think he's had this oldest talent, Lofton hasn't done a damn thing. Let the kid have a chance. That's what I want to see.
I'm with you on that. With obviously we've already seen what it can look like with CJ Daniels out. He's going to miss this upcoming game in a couple of weeks. We'll continue to see more of JoJo Trader.
Yes,
like we had some great and some not so great, but you know what? As he continues to get more playing time and get more comfortable, he had a great touchdown in the game. He also had, unfortunately, the tip ball that led to an interception. He should have been open in the end zone to maybe catch a game tying or a game winning touchdown potentially, but he was not available on that play, as Shannon Dawson said. So we'll see more of JoJo again.
Is that what he said? He wasn't available because he said it like tongue in cheek. That's right. They should put that.
Well, no, exactly. No, and that's what he meant. He was like, he said it like basically winking, like, he wasn't available on that play is the way he said it.
Yeah, I know. But that's another film they ought to look at because I watched it this morning. The ball wasn't even thrown yet. And he's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
How could he? How's that not holding? It's not pass interference, but it's holding.
It was a terrible non-call. Yep. With I thought obviously lost in the fact that Miami lost the game. I thought Justin Scott played well last week against SMU, and Corey Heatherman said the same thing. So if Ahmad Moten, if he's unable to go 50-50, we're going to see more of Justin Scott, who seems to be getting better and more confident every single week.
I think Moten will play, though, but he's not going to play. He'll be in maybe half the plays, maybe a little less if Scott's doing well.
Yeah,
about time
exactly.
that Scott's doing well, too. He needs to get more reps. They're going to get better playing 4 snaps a game.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, if Miami continues to struggle in football, at least we got the hoops team, baby. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Hurricanes are favored by basically 4 touchdowns against Syracuse. 27.5 points the last I checked. You can get all of this info on FanDuel. And hey, by the way, the NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. And Bruce, I know you're not here to talk basketball, but can I get you invested when Jay Lucas has 5-star true freshmen out there like Shelton Henderson scoring 15 points, having a nice collegiate debut?
I used to go all the time. But
well, you should get your season tickets back because this team's exciting. He's already got a 5-star committed for next year. Yeah, obviously Miami was going to beat the Jacksonville Dolphins no matter what. That was their opener last night. But the Hurricanes win 86-69. Malik Renault played a good game with 20 points. Ernest Uday had 14 rebounds and 14 points on the game. So I thought Miami got off to a nice start on
Who do they
hoops.
play next?
Let me see. Hold on. I'll pull
they play
that
on
up
a
for you.
Monday? Okay.
Yeah, they play next against Bethune-Cookman on ACC Network Extra. That's the 6th of November. What is that, Thursday night, I think? Yeah, they play Thursday night at home against Bethune.
Yeah. I have that channel. Okay. I'll watch
Then
it.
after that, they play against Stetson. And then the game after that on November 16th is against the third-ranked Florida Gators, which you were telling me lost.
They lost last night. They lost. I think it was at Arizona State. They lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care about the Gators anyway. I'm not going to repeat what we said off the air, but
yeah, we'll lose our clean rating if you repeat what you said off the air. So,
all right. So anyway, what are you expecting? Are you expecting more of the same? Or are you expecting changes? Not just the personnel. We know there's changes in the personnel.
I think that based on what has transpired all of this season, the approach that I have is when it comes to hoping for changes, right? Hoping for cutting down the procedural penalties, having a more explosive offense where you care more about scoring than you care about bleeding the clock. Where I'm at is, Bruce, I've got to see it to believe it.
Right.
Like it's the whole definition of insanity thing. I cannot expect changes. I can only hope for changes and know, despite how much everyone wants to rag on the coaching staff and whatever, that they have a better assessment of what's going on in that building than you and I or anybody else does, despite all of us being willing and able to armchair quarterback, that they know more about what's happening internally than we do, and that they're going to be able to turn the page on some of these errors and correct them. But again, I need to see it to believe it. I cannot assume that changes are going to happen when they haven't happened to this point. But I think we laid out a blueprint.
For weeks. They're addressing the so-called changes for weeks, and we haven't really seen that happen. I do want to say one thing, and maybe you'll shoot me down. I don't know.
Okay.
Anybody that thinks Mario's getting fired because you're screaming, fire him, it's not going to happen. He's not getting fired. He's not getting fired next year, unless we're 6-6 next year or something like that. The buyout is too high.
Yeah,
he's got a load of talent. There's so many positives. But as I said yesterday, and I'll repeat myself, he needs to look within himself and figure out where his deficiencies are. And I'm guessing, I'm not saying because I don't know, I'm guessing he's going to have some conversations with two people, Nick Saban and Jimmy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
If not now, in the offseason. And I think they're going to teach he needs to delegate. But I don't think Dawson is the answer. And a lot of people are saying, we said it before, that Mario is tying his hands behind his back. I don't think so. I think they need to find a dynamic, innovative offensive coordinator, and they need to get a quarterback in the portal who has 2 years of eligibility, not one. And it doesn't matter to me who on the roster leaves to go someplace else. I don't think there's anybody on the roster that could step in next year and do this job. I just don't. But I think they need to do that. And I think if those two things happen, and of course the team is unified, which I thought they were for most of the season. Now I don't know where they are now. I think we could be just as good next year, if not better. We're going to lose a lot of talent.
Sure.
Offensive line. Yeah. But you know what? But he's rebuilding the depth, and I think things are looking forward. But is him or his decision making and his decision makers cannot bury their head in the sand and think we're going to walk out in the field and just beat everybody because we practice hard. That to me means nothing. Got to practice smart. Yep. Practice smart. And be one step ahead of everybody else and stop reacting to what the other team's doing. Do what you want to do and make them react to you. It's the way it always used to be. And again, people keep saying, I live in the past. No, I lived in the past. I'm living in the present, and I'm seeing what's going on, and I don't like it. That's my issue with the team. There's no reason for us to be 6-2. None.
Yeah, it's very clear that when it comes to the talent level, the floor has been raised considerably. I need to see the ceiling because a lot of people will say, Mario this, Mario that. He has a ceiling. He's not going to get you past 10 wins. That is the next step, is raising that ceiling, Bruce, because yes, the floor used to be, hey, you never know, Miami might only win 5 games, 6 games this year. That used to be the floor. The floor is like 8 wins now. Like that's the floor, which is great, but you still have to raise the ceiling.
Anymore. 9 wins and a bowl win. You got to get to 10 this year again. It's just
no. I'm not saying your floor. I'm saying the floor for what the team is going to produce. Like I understand, like mentally, your floor is 9 wins, 10 wins, whatever. But the floor for what's actually going to happen on the field is 8 wins now.
Well, we should win Saturday. We should beat Virginia Tech. Yeah. So we have 2 games. If we win one of those 2, we're going to have 9. We're going to get into a bowl game. We can't lay an egg in a bowl game anymore. No. We've got to go in there like this is the championship game. We have to. Because we haven't accomplished a damn thing. We have a pretty good recruiting class. We just got 2 really good players, the D tackle and the wide receiver. But I don't want that to stop. We're 5 or 6 weeks away from these people announcing where they're going. We need to have some we have to be on an upslide, not in quicksand or mediocrity. That's got to stop.
Yeah.
Has to stop. Starts Saturday. We have to make adjustments and beat the hell out of Syracuse.
Yeah,
and then get ready to play NC State.
Yeah, and I'll be talking more about the Syracuse game. In fact, tomorrow going to have a crossover episode with Jackson Holzer from Locked On Syracuse, who does an incredible job. And Jackson, by the way, he knows how bad Syracuse is right now. He told me that if Miami loses to Syracuse on Saturday, that is a fireable loss. But listen, we're not going to lose to Syracuse.
No,
I don't think we're not going to lose to Syracuse.
He's not on suicide watch, that kid.
Yeah, he's having a tough year, but it's Fran Brown has said he only showers after wins. If that's true, Fran Brown has not showered since September 20th. That's the last time Syracuse won a game.
Wow.
And by the way, do you know?
I don't believe that.
He made some changes on his staff.
Yeah,
the wide receivers coach for Syracuse on Saturday is Josh Gaddis.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him. I remember Josh Gaddis. And again, I still don't believe that kid's going to go there. I don't know if he's coming to Miami, but he'd be foolish to go there. Really foolish. I don't know who else is on this kid. Maybe he'll go to the Gators or something, Florida State. I don't know.
Maybe he'll come here. Maybe he won't. We'll talk to everyone next time. Huge shout out. We love the Truth Tellers, doing an incredible job. The Truth Tellers.
You guys are great. Really
shout out to all the everydayers, and I love you all. I appreciate whether you love us or you hate us. I appreciate the community, and it just means so much. Like the Canes family, when we go through tough times, being able to talk with all of our listeners and all of our everydayers, it means everything to me. And even though everyone's down right now, understandably, it's my therapy talking to you guys and talking with people like Bruce Warner every single day. So we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.